Hi, my name is Marcee Merriam. I am the Autism Navigator for Kindering, but most importantly, I am Tom's mom.
Hi, I'm Thomas Kerns, but around the state of Washington, I am known as Tom and Tom's mom.
Almost there.
Tom's here.
When did you realize that you had autism?
Well, it all started off when I was still young, and I was probably around in the second or third grade. There was another kid on spectrum that I asked my mother, why is this kid this kid? And she said, this kid has a disability and you also have a disability. And I needed to contemplate on that. And when I saw some other stuff explaining you have this disability and this other person has a disability, they have advantages, and it's how it makes them unique.
So Tom, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your experience growing up with an autism diagnosis.
Growing up with an autistic diagnosis, let's see. Well, at first, it felt odd, and I always thought that I'm me and everybody loves me, but still, I didn't yet know that there are some problems out there that I did not know, and that's still a part of growing up. And also, by a standpoint, if you're not autistic, I know that my disability had some advantages, and when I looked in, I realized that it's really gifting to have a disability.
What do you want to share with families about your experience, or what would you like them to know?
I want to say, try to look into your child or your eldest, wherever they are, and look inside and see what are their hobbies. And by their hobbies, they can, constantly saying contemplate and advantages. Look for their advantages. By me, I have Asperger's syndrome, and I heard that they were Asperger's are kind of like Einstein's. By me, I loved growing up with trains, specifically Thomas the Tank Engine. And by all that, I got to know more about the stories, and then my father took me to Edmonds to see all the freight trains, Amtrak trains, and it was good.
Wonderful, thank you. Were there any therapies that you participated in growing up?
I have. One of them was really involved with computer games, and I really liked that the most. There was a computer game that was named Laureate Chariots, and the subject was probably say two animals. There's a cow and there's a horse, and then a narrator in the background says, which one of these things goes moo, or which one of these things makes this sound, and then you hear a mooing sound, and you would click on the cow and it would identify which one it was.
Was there anything in particular from your experiences growing up in different therapies that you feel like helped contribute to the values that you have or who you are today?
When I was younger, I mimicked a lot of stuff over the television and a lot of stuff in books. It's called echolalia.
Very good. Yes. Good talking.
By that, I thought I was around that stage, and I see old videos of myself, and sometimes I feel shifty by it, defining. I had something called a grand mal seizure, and by that, it kind of helped me get out of my echolalia stage and finally moving to my high-functioning stage. That I'm finally Asperger with high-functioning autistic. And there's a bunch of brilliant people out there, especially Temple Grandin, amazingly by her. And a lot of people on the spectrum really made good impacts for the world. And I would like to be one of those people.
Absolutely. And next, I'm going to switch to Marcee. Marcee, I would love for you to share with us, what do you see as Tom's talents or gifts? What does he bring to your family, to the community? Tell us a little bit about that.
Tom is such an encourager, and he is such a lovely man. And there were times through this journey that I didn't know what was going to happen on the other end. But he is such a contributor to whatever community he finds himself in. He also uses his gifts and talents, and we use those words often, his gifts and talents. He is a gifted illustrator, and he is gifted with his drawing, but most of all, he is just gifted with his big, huge heart.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Tell us a little bit more about your experience on this journey. What was that like as a parent?
Yes, it has been quite the journey. So when we first started out, Tom was not talking like the other kids, and it wasn't until my nephew was born and he was babbling and Tom was still silent. And I'm like, there's something not right here. And so I really pushed the pediatrician that we got to do something. So we started speech therapy, and then one of the speech therapists said, I think it might be autism. And so then we got on the big, huge waiting list. And that point, it was only 9 months at Children's Hospital to wait. But we waited on the big, huge wait list. And that was not a very good experience for me. The physician was very belittling and just not very supportive to parents at all. But once we got the diagnosis and had a label, then we were like off to the races. That we could find resources, we could find books, we could find other information to find out about autism. And the other thing that happened for Tom that I really am grateful for is that he did developmental preschool, but then he also did preschool within the community. So he has been going to school since he was 2 years old. So he's quite the learned man doing this for such a long time. Anyway, but I knew that early on that however this was, that he was going to need to be able to function with typically developing people. And so to have that side by side, I think it was hard, it was a stretch, but I'm really glad we did it.
What advice would you give to providers about that experience and how might they be able to change their own behavior or their practice to better fit what family needs might look like?
Right. So one of the things I love about my job here at Kindering is that I have the opportunity to talk to parents as the autism diagnosis is unfolding. And really do like to take a look at, okay, we really believe that Einstein probably was on the spectrum, and that Bill Gates and all of these other people that have come forward to say, yeah, I think I'm on the spectrum too. And taking a look at who they are and what they have brought to the wider world. and that we are all just blessed and gifted because they use their special gifts and talents for the rest of us. So I think that providers, if they take a look at, like Tom said, what is your special gift? What is it that you are brilliant at? And yes, at age 18 months or 2 years old or 3 years old, that isn't as clear as it is at age 26. But there still are hints about things that that your child is brilliant at, and just to celebrate that, because normal is only a setting on the dryer. I love that thing. Normal is only setting on the dryer.
That's great. I love that too.
Nobody or nothing is normal. And I really like who I am going through this journey. I think I'm way more patient and I listen better. And I would just ask that of providers, that they listen more than they talk, because it is loaded with all kinds of possibilities, but also loaded with all kinds of emotions that if the conversation is not steered in that positive way, it can be hurtful and very negative.
And then one last question, is there anything that you want parents to know about your experience, about the journey, or any maybe reservations you had initially, but came out of it with a different outcome that you're grateful for now? What would you tell parents?
So look for your buddies, look for the helpers. That's one of the things that Mr. Rogers used to say when I was growing up, that when you are in distress, love Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Thank you.
That you look for the helpers. And when Tom was in early intervention, we had to go to the center. So all of us parents would hang out in the hall and get to know each other. Because therapies are done in the home and we have very few or limited numbers of times that they get to come together, the chances to get to know other parents that are on the same journey, oh, please go look for them. Please be hungry for them. Please, please, please. Because the people that were just a little bit ahead of me really helped me as we were doing transitions. The transition from early intervention to the school district, if I hadn't had those people that were just a little bit ahead of me, I don't know what that would have looked like. Please go find your helpers and your friends. And whether it's the EI agency or the ARC or all kinds of other possibilities, please just find your helpers. And I'm very thankful for today, because I remember the day that I drove into, at that point was Little Red Schoolhouse, to pick up Tom. And I thought, I want to use this experience to bless others, whatever that means. And I hope to goodness that is what has happened. And we'll continue to say to providers, please steer people towards the positive conversations. We come with enough negativity as it is. So thank you so much for the opportunity to get to share and for us to get to do this together.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.